In our modern days, what is witchcraft? How we can see it in these days?
Well, I just did a teaching on that called Bewitched, and I'll just give you a quick overview. People who practice witchcraft is power and control. It's trying to control your world through the power source that is not God's. There's only two power sources, one's God, one's Satan. So it's tapping into the devil's power source in order to be able to manipulate and control your world to make things go the way you see they have to go for you to be safe. So it's about a lot of manipulation and control. In the Bible, we see the story of Jezebel, who was very controlling. She hated her husband. She manipulated using his authority to get Naboth killed so that they could take his vineyard from him. So she set up the religious community. They fasted. They wrote letters. She signed her husband's signature. All of these evil things to remove a man from his rightful property. Oftentimes, Jezebel will come into a situation, whether it's a family or a church or a business. She's assigned, maybe she doesn't even know it, but she's assigned through that spirit of division to get next to the authority, the leader, the father, the husband, the pastor, get as close to them as possible and begin to manipulate circumstances to dethrone them, to take them out of power. And she will do that by coming in as either very sweet, very helpful, or helpless. And so I believe the first thing that happens when she comes in, her victim, I say it this way, the love is blind kind of thing, and the Cupid who shoots the arrow. And I believe that the leader, the man, is struck with a poisoned arrow that tranquilizes him, puts him to sleep so he doesn't really see what's going on. He's naive. Then she comes in with flattery, and it strokes his ego, and so he's seduced. And if his wife sees all this and she starts to try to warn him and say, I don't like her, this isn't right, there's something not right here, her intentions or motives aren't good, the enemy will put it in his mind that his wife is just jealous, and so he just disregards what she's saying. She's crazy. And if anybody resists the witch in this process, the witch will turn on them and just pulverize them. She'll accuse them of everything she is doing. This can be in the political world, which we see it all over the world now. The political arena where the real witches are accusing the innocent of doing what they're doing, and so everybody gets confused. And the more they say it, and the more they call victim, victim, and you hurt my feelings, and now you need to apologize to me, the more they make themselves out to be the victim, and the more chaos and division they set up in the circumstance. What do I do? Do I apologize? Because I didn't do anything wrong, but now I'm having to apologize to someone, which then admits to them that I'm wrong and they were right. So they demand apologies, they demand restitution. It's an interesting, I think there is a proverb, I think it's in chapter 30, where it says that the adulteress, the seductress, she seduces the man, brings the division, brings the destruction, and then wipes her mouth and says, I've done nothing wrong. I think that's a very good picture of exactly what I'm totally innocent. And these people who practice witchcraft can get into the inner circles of churches or corporations or marriages, and I've seen it in all three places. It's very difficult. First of all, you have to identify it, and second of all, you have to know what to do about it. And when you see the witchcraft coming, you cannot go head on against this spirit. You have to go straight up, and you have to say, you present your crime to the Lord, you forgive the person that Satan is using to bring this spirit of witchcraft or this division or this divorce or this church split. You realize that they are being motivated and managed by Satan. And so you forgive them, and then you bring the crime before the Lord and say, God, this person, knowingly or unknowingly, is destroying our family, destroying the church, and I present this crime, this intention, this destruction, the crimes against me, calling me out as being the wicked one when I'm trying to, bring the truth. You forgive them. You forgive them. It means you release the crime to God, let Him be the judge of it. You forgive them, release them from your judgment, and then you ask God to bind the spirits of witchcraft and the spirits of a lot of times there's other spirits that assist them, there's hardness of heart, there's religion, there's victimization, there's self-pity, there's poor me, there's false accusations, there's denial, and all kinds of, they have a whole company of demons that help them tear down. They're assigned to tear down this particular, whatever it is, church, group, and so, but most people don't realize how much witchcraft is operating in their families. It may not be a big, fancy, Jezebel spirit in the church. It may be somebody in your own house. It could be coming through a mother-in-law. It could be coming through a child, a female of some sort, usually a female, but not always, not always. Because of their insecurity, they have to control, because otherwise they're not safe. It's very tempting for the woman to pick up that power and go against the righteous authority, the God-appointed authority in that place. Another thing that's very interesting, if people have generational lines of witchcraft, some of them are your high-powered witches that practice witchcraft as we know it, and the seances, have the covens and that sort of thing. But there's many that are not as well formed, or they just kind of more informal witchcraft, I suppose you could call it. That also comes down the bloodlines. And when there's witchcraft, three of the signs of witchcraft, three of the fruits of witchcraft are poverty, sickness, and untimely death. And these people oftentimes, and people in their bloodline, will be afflicted with back problems. And that's very, very common. And you say, well, it's just my back hurts, or my neck hurts. And a lot of times, because witchcraft is related to rebellion, which is its primary root, rebellion against God, and it's rebellion and stubbornness and stiffness of neck. In the Old Testament, God said they were stubborn and stiff in their necks because they would not bow to Him. So that witchcraft is as a spirit of stubbornness and rebellion. It affects the neck, where we bow and we move and we worship God. And so it usually starts on the sixth vertebrae right in the neck, and that is the exact vertebrae that controls stiffness of neck. But the back represents the column of authority, the righteous and legal chain of authority from God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the man, woman, and child. And when your backbone is out of alignment, what happens is the nerves are being pinched and there's pain because something is not in alignment. And when we're out of alignment with God, it shows up as pain in the back. And so that's why there's a connection between what's going on in the spiritual world and what's going on in your physical body. So, and then again, to initiate or precipitate the pain, the enemy will oftentimes set up something, a catalyst like a car accident or falling down or something, where the assault demons, the attack, assault, and injury demons strike someone, push them down, create a collision of some sort to wound that place, and that then sets up the beginning of the pain.
While you're talking about Jezebel's spirit and the way she attacks the men, and being seductive, sometimes maybe seduction cannot always be related with sexuality.
Correct.
Because you are mentioning mother-in-law or maybe a child.
Yeah.
Or you are mentioning also not all the time it's the man who's attacked. So that's why I have this question. Sometimes maybe it's about authority, right?
It's about authority. It's always down. It always
the bottom line.
Yeah, the bottom line is rebellion against authority, against God-given or God-appointed authority. Whether it's the president of a corporation, the president of a nation, the pastor in the church, the father in the home, it's always rebellion against the authority. And sometimes that authority is being very unfair and unjust, and so the woman says, well, what can I do? Well, I have to undermine it, I have to resist it, I have to rebel. Rather than going to God and saying, God, will you help me? Will you deal with this spirit of hardness of heart or rejection or whatever's going on in my husband? Will you deal with it so that I don't have to judge him? We don't want to judge people because then we get judged. And we don't want to practice witchcraft against somebody because witchcraft practiced against witchcraft is not going to solve anything. You've got to go to the authority of heaven and get the Lord to intervene. That's very important. People who try to deal with witchcraft through manipulation, using their own ways to manipulate things or legislate things or whatever they do, it always backfires, because you are no match for a witch, for witchcraft. We are no match for that spirit. It's not the person. You know, that person who is practicing has a soul, and they need to be loved or redeemed or delivered or whatever you want to say. But the spirit of witchcraft that's working through them needs to be separated from them and dealt with by God. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's a lot of, I know people, when they're under the counsel of witchcraft or when they're being attacked by it, they really don't know what to do.
Well, yes. How you behave when you see that this kind of person.
Accused, right? When you're falsely accused, when you see that happening, how do you not panic? How do you get people to believe you? Because the witch is also they're seducing all the people around her to believe that she is wonderful, that she is true, that she does nothing wrong. This is what's the scary part, because there's a spirit of deception. And there's a proverb that says, liars listen to liars. And so she's there lying, and there's a lot of people out there who are giving ear to that lie. They're not standing up and saying, well, wait a minute, that's not what the Word of God says. That's not right. The fruit of that, we look at the fruit of it and we see it's all destruction. And so, but somehow it's all about power in this world. However you can get it, however you can manipulate it, whatever you can do. And so, because they don't wait on God and submit to God and look to God to empower them or deliver them, they go and take matters into their own hands. But we must forgive, turn the crime over to God, and release them from our judgment. Ask God to bind the demons, forgive the person, forgive the other persons who are believing lies that are making it worse. Forgive everybody and turn all the crimes committed against you, the false accusations, the treachery, the betrayal, over to God and let Him judge it. And then you ask God to restore, let the court of heaven restore unto you what the enemy is trying to steal from you. And you let it in God's hands. You forgive them and let God deal with it. And then the burden is off of you, and it's God's problem.